All right, let's go. What's up, everybody? This is the Overlook, where we talk about One Piece every damn day, and you're damn right, it's Mugiwara Monday. And this week, we are talking about Black Leg Sanji, Vinsmoke Sanji.
Oh, you mean one of the best on the group?
One of the most divisive in the group. I am a Sanji supporter, but it's really, I'm a Sanji supporter. It's really hard to be a Sanji promoter. We'll go into that later. But Vinsmoke Sanji, he is the cook of the Straw Hat Pirates. He was the 5th member of the crew, I believe.
You had 4th.
4th added member, including Luffy.
4th added member, 5th member in total. You're right.
Yeah. We are going to lightly talk about his personality, who he is for the crew. If you are new here, people like Sanji that have more than just, a limited amount of fights, we focus more on the fights, like how they evolved during the fights, like our favorite part of these fights. We're going to be breezing right through. You guys let us know what your favorite Sanji pre-Timeskip fight is and why. If he is a character that you like or dislike, let us know that too. He is very divisive. There are people on both sides of that fence, even here on this very panel.
You don't say.
So let's talk about him. Sanji, when we first meet him, he is a chef on what's the boat called?
Baratier.
The Baratier. He is working under. Damn,
Chef Zeph.
Zev, how am I? Sorry, I smoked before this. How am I just blanking on everything? He from the East Blue, Baratier, Chef Zeph. We find out his backstory was that he was kind of just a small-time, dish cleaner when he was like 10 years old on the Baratier, or the
Chore
former.
boy.
Yeah, he was a chore boy.
Yeah.
There was a storm. Basically lost everybody in the crew, I guess. They've never talked about anybody from that former crew.
For all Sanji knows, yeah.
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 Zeph gives his leg for Sanji, he gives Sanji all the food they have left. Zeph eats his leg instead to sustain himself. They both make it off the island. Sanji is forever indebted to Zeph. That is when we find him at the Baratier. He has been an integral part in some pre-Timeskip moments, such as when he saves them during Alabasta from the flood. He's also the person that did the main infiltration at Eni's lobby. He has some notable moments on Skypiea. What are your guys' overall thoughts on Sanji?
First and foremost, what I would like to do is defer to Kevin. I prefer to get all the bad shit out of the way.
His goal is to find the all blue. We forget about his goal really post-time skip, but his goal is to find the all blue.
Yeah, we just moved right over that, Kevin.
Where all of the fish of the world will meet.
I don't hate Sanji pre-time skip. I don't. I try not to, at least.
Yeah.
Most of my issues come in post-time, so you're gonna hear me glaze them up.
He suffers from a similar thing as Chopper.
Pre-time skip. Yeah. I love Sanji. I think his story early on was very appealing as well. I mean, they're stranded on this island, and this guy has to cut off his own leg to eat it in order to survive. That's tough. That's a tough backstory.
Stories for the tribes are kind of fucked up.
Yeah. But I mean, he also
straw hat without one.
Yeah, and then way back when, I always thought it was funny how, for those of you who watched One Piece recently or started it, you missed the 4Kids days where Sanji didn't have a cigarette, he had a popsicle, or he had a lollipop, and so that kind of stuff was always funny to me, and so that kind of always stuck in my head. But early on, he's one of the better people. I mean, our captain loves to eat, and what more important crewmate can you have than the chef? And the shit always looked appetizing as hell. It always looked good.
He is the one that is,
Um,
especially pre-Timeskip, he's the one that's the most capable of infiltrating and relaying information. We talked about that a little bit with our Sabo discussion on the last episode, 1118. Check that out. It came out, I guess, as we're recording this. It just uploaded, so yesterday. Yeah.
Real quick, my first impressions, I swear you were gonna tank that shit in terms of like knocking him down, beating him in his kneecaps or something.
Post time skip, I will be.
Okay, I'm sure it will come. But as far as my initial reactions with him, I fucked with his dynamic with Zeph. I fucked with like they're assholes to each other, but that's how they bond and that's how they know how to get close to one another. That scene where Sanji like apologizes when he's like and is grateful and appreciative for everything as he joins the Straw Hats. That's pretty tough. Like that's what's up. In general, he just brought more of this dapper sense to the Straw Hats. He was cleaned up. He was meticulous. He gave a fuck about presentation. They took the perversion up an extra level, but you always need one of those guys in these shonens. You always need a pervert.
Yeah.
But you could see that he legit is a ladies' man, a womanizer, or what have you. And he has a certain code of honor that he moves by, that he learned from Zeph, where he will never harm a woman. Even going later, I'm sure we'll bring it up with Enislavi, but yeah. First impression is where he's a cool dude. I like the fact that his hands are always in his pockets. He keeps his hands for cooking and just always wears suits and kicks.
Yeah, and I can understand where America comes from, where they're like, we don't like seeing people smoke. Like, I don't think you can make another Sanji that smokes like that and get it publicized in America, especially like the way they're pushing like One Piece now, because it's just like so anti-cigarette. But they're right, man. Smoking cigs looks cool.
It was. You have to think about the time too. Like it was. What was this like? 2002. I mean, we were very anti-tobacco at that time. So
and again,
I think if you created it now, you'd still let them be able to smoke. But they'd be like, "Oh, that shit's bad for you, Sanji. You shouldn't do that." It's like,
it will be some shit where each episode comes with like a warning label or some shit in the preface before the fucking title theme song or some shit, or right after, some shit like that.
I don't know about
in
that.
today's day and age.
I
think they would just not do it. But yeah, but all that to lead in, like I said before, we do just mainly focus on the fights on these. So let's talk about his first fight since we're on the Baratier. Gin. This is actually one of my favorite fights in the whole anime. Just like how, and then when they remixed it, on the video we're at 11 seconds, but when they remixed it, like it looks so clean. And like the fighting style of Gin with that weapon is just really cool. But yeah, how do y'all feel about like? Why do I like it? Just like the animation is just so smooth. This is when I was like, the fights in One Piece are not complicated. Like you do not have to do a lot of it, or do a lot for the choreography to be good. This is a fight that I later liked when I saw it again. I'm just like the way like Gin's like using his weapon. Sanji's got his hands in his pockets and like they're dodging their attacks, but blocking. Like I think it's just the choreography is really good in this one.
Yeah, it leaves a lot to be. You can interpret the shit and see how it happens. It leaves you to fill in the blanks from how it gets from A to B, but you know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
One Piece has never been a show for me where it's all about the fights or action and everything, because all of their fights are more so based on ideals.
Yeah, it's about the stakes of the fights.
Yeah.
Kev, you got anything before we move on to the next one?
No, I mean, the ending to this fight where he kind of makes him a meal was always stuck out to me, because that's like, it's like Sanji's respect, I guess. It kind of just shows like his honor. Back to DJ's point, like he makes him after he beats his ass.
That shit was dope.
That's one thing about Sanji is like he will not let you starve.
But he cares about food, which I always respect. Somebody who loves their craft. I'm a big fan of the show The Bear. I love Hell's Kitchen with Gordon. People who actually like care about that, like that takes a lot of energy and precision to make a dish like Sanji's
Yeah,
portrayed at making his. So real
yeah,
life
and it's
examples,
like you
I love it.
figure the straw hats, like people such as Luffy, take that shit for granted
Mhm.
because this nigga is actually chefing the fuck up in the kitchen though.
Yeah.
I don't think the
I do
females
respect
on
him.
the. I don't think like Robin takes it for granted.
No, no.
Nami might act
Yeah,
like
of
it, but I
course
don't think
not.
Nami does either.
Of course not.
But the next fight, Kuromi. This is the first fisherman fight he has. This is when he's trying to save Luffy inside the pool, and Kuromi shows how much quicker and stronger these fishermen are underwater. I thought it was a really good fight because Sanji still
Yeah.
managed to like kind of fuck him up.
It wasn't bad. He's at a huge
Um,
disadvantage here, so it's a great way to show that he can overcome adversity and still win. So I
Huge
thought that was,
disadvantage. Like he got smoker's lungs and he's holding his breath and going underwater
Smoker's lungs.
against a fishman. Forget about it.
And pre-time skip One Piece also does a thing where it's like they're doing crazy things, but it's like you're not really conceptualizing. Like when Mihawk takes out that ship, you're kind of like, okay, cool, he took it like that big ship. Like when they're fighting and they're like breaking the ground and stuff like that, you're like, okay, like but I've seen that. And then like here, it's like he's like you can kick somebody out of water where you're like 20 feet under and they fly in the air, and it's like in One Piece it kind of just looks like a thing, but that if you think
Like,
about it, that's
to your point.
yeah.
To your point right now. To your point right now. Jalen Brown doesn't get on the Olympic team, and he's doing everything in his power to like draw light to the fact that he's a prominent member of the Celtics. To the point where now he's put a regulation rim, like put a fucking hoop in the pool, 10 feet, jumps in the pool, and from inside the pool being submerged, jumps up and dunks a basketball. So it's like, what the fuck? I couldn't imagine jumping 10 feet to dunk a basketball on any kind of rim that's anywhere close to that like regulation shit. When we're looking at this shit where you're saying you're kicking someone 20 feet out the fucking water, it's like when you're watching One Piece, you get the whole nonsensical shit, and it kind of like goes over your heads sometimes. To your point, what the fuck these people are actually doing?
yeah.
Like he just kicked this dude through a whole building, and the building's made of concrete.
Yeah, and this is like, 5 episodes after we meet these people. It's like, yeah, you're just part of the crew now. Like, if we watch something like a modern anime like Black Clover, we would have been seeing all kinds of spectacular stuff. We would have had their backstory already. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like they would have fought a
yeah,
fight and won by a landslide and lost a fight by a landslide. But a new fight
yeah.
where it kind of ends in a draw. But I guess he wins. He's fighting Mister Two. I'm just skipping to the main fight where he's in Alabasta and he's fighting Mister Two. It's all kicks. I really don't have too much to say about this one.
No, this is when he starts to lose
You
respect for
don't,
me because you
you
don't
don't like
fuck
his
with Mister Two.
tempo?
You
I,
don't fuck with Mister Two, bro.
I mean, this starts the pattern of Sanji being like Zoro and Luffy get the cool opponents, but he'll get an opponent.
Whoever's
An
left.
opponent is crazy. An opponent.
Yeah,
Hey Sanji,
Yeah.
just go ahead and do something. We'll just save your energy for the meal
I mean,
cooking later, please.
think about it. Like,
It,
remember when he fought
it,
the noodle guy?
That's right. That's
yeah,
next. Yeah. That's
yeah.
next.
But
I,
in Alabasta in particular, like Luffy had to learn different ways or tactics to beat Crocodile. So you get that. Zoro had to learn to utilize different tactics or recollect. I like those moments where Zoro recollects Shimosuke Village and his time in the dojo. I like those moments. But he had to recall a lesson from his former sensei about the voice of all things or some shit like that. The sound or the heartbeat or some shit where he's able to discern where the boulders are when they're falling, and that's how he cuts steel. I fuck with that. When you get to Sanji, I don't see it.
Well,
Like,
that's
what did you have to learn for Mr. Two?
yeah, but I think that goes more to, well, yeah, but Sanji doesn't really.
Like even Nami learned some shit in that arc.
Yeah, but
But yeah,
I guess that just goes to the point where Sanji's like the most capable and the most sure of himself, and he knows what he can't. That's one thing about Sanji that some people like and some people don't like. That's a divisive part. Is like he knows what he can or cannot do, and if he's like, "Oh, I can't do this," he's gonna be like, "Somebody else is gonna have to do it," because I'm not gonna do it and I
Right.
can't do it. But there's been no point where he's
yeah.
like has to like recollect on like an old training or anything like that, because he's like, no, I'm
Right.
fully aware of my surroundings and my capabilities and the ramifications of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like he definitely is a planner. It does actually. This video skips Alabasta. He saved Usopp, and they'll burn him to a crisp. And he was like, "Hey, I was looking for a light. Cool moment. Can't consider it a fight."
Yeah.
And I think with these pre-time skips, it's like, I mean, come on. You fight Mr. 2 in Alabasta. You're kind of skipped over in Skypiea. First guy you actually fight in Water 7 is the noodle guy. It's like, it takes you 300 episodes, and then you fight Jabra. You have to lose to the Bubble Girl. Like, we want to root for you.
My thing with the noodle guy, my thing with the noodle guy is like I understand that you are going to be the comic relief in this moment, and you're fighting a comic relief, like how you're saying, an opponent. You're fighting an opponent. I get that this dude is the cook on the train, but goddamn, 3 episodes is a long time
to fight a chef, to fight a noodle chef.
A noodle chef without a devil fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're gonna say it. Like, he is way more
potential than they're
has
up.
way more potential in the post time skip.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Queen,
they
Virgo,
start to get it around episode 300. During the infiltration of Anthony's lobby, because he does fight Jabra, and this is around the time. This is a little bit before the episode 300, like 280s or something. This is when he first gets his Diablo Jambe. I'm not really a fan of the spices line, but how do we feel about his fight against Jabra, his Diablo Jambe? For context, this is another one where I'm like, he knows what he can do. Like he's destroying Jabra. Like Jabra ain't really beating him.
I think this is one of those instances where CP9 was introduced as like this powerhouse team, and they all know those 6 different moves. I forget what they're called, including Iron Body, Shave, and all that shit. But point being, Luffy had to dose himself in order to be fast enough to keep up with Luna. Sanji isn't doping himself. He's keeping up with these people, and he's speed blitzing, and he's rushing, and he's able to evade attacks quite well. Pairing whatever you want to say.
A little bit to the post-time skip, like this. You made this point in a previous video where it's like Luffy and all of them are like when they get hit by these Seraphim, like they're getting hurt, and then Sanji just stands there, like takes a punch to the face without even moving. Like his cigarette don't even go out. Like Sanji is, but it's just they just don't do him enough justice.
We also don't know until later, like how modified Sanji. Like Sanji's genetically modified. He has all of these things that
Sanji doesn't know.
Make more sense later.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that guy, he was able to take Anel's full charge blast
because of these reasons.
Then so now he's able to kind of advance more. So I think we always knew
now that we know
he'd be more.
He can advance more. Finally, that's a good.
We
point.
knew he'd be more early, but we were waiting. Same thing we've been saying with Usopp. We know he's supposed to be more. We're just waiting for Oda to write it. Like we know it's there.
So that's the last major fight that Sanji was in. I mean, we can talk. I think Chris had something to say, but really quick, after this, let's talk about more of their other fights. Like I guess he slid for Usopp against the Frankie team. He was there when he saw Zoro after nothing happened. He did some of the fighting against Oars. Chris, what were you gonna say?
Um, just I suppose continuing from the Ennis Lobby thing, how he lost to the bubble chick, Kafka, or what
Kafka.
was her name, Kafla?
Yeah, Kafla,
Yeah.
Khalifa.
Um,
I don't know.
I I guess I just appreciate that part just because of it shows how much he respects Zeph and how big of an impact Zeph put on him. Aside from that, I ain't really got much to say about it. But I just appreciate how much he appreciates Zeph.
Yeah,
Like just because he's gone and everything like that, he's not gonna like forego those lessons and everything. He really takes that shit to heart.
I think the idea for Sanji was that he was never supposed to be like a top tier fighter, just a very capable fighter. And maybe he was waiting for
You don't have to tell me.
the
I know.
reveal. Maybe he was looking for the reveal, the backstory, so he could flesh out more of his abilities. Because a lot of his abilities go in line with us learning about Lunarians, so we have to wait for that. But I think, like, just judging with like his pre-time skip fights, I think if we're following that pattern of how he's just like capable and he's able to like take these guys without really thinking about it, if Usopp got more fights, I think originally planned like Usopp was supposed to be getting exponentially stronger as we go on. And maybe he has, but I think it was supposed to be shown visually through his fights more. I think we're eventually supposed to get to the point where Usopp is acting kind of like Sanji, where he's like way more capable of what he knows he can do.
Yeah. Like the demeanor hasn't caught up to the accolades
Yeah.
for Usopp in particular. And it's like it's one of those things
Fake it till you make it.
where
And it's like, well, you made it.
right, but it's one of those things where that's 100% true, but in there comes a process where you have to take time to acknowledge what you've actually done. When you're in a constant mindset of next play, next thing I got to do, next thing I got to do, it doesn't give you the time to gestate and actually take into consideration what you've accomplished, or you're having consecutive W's in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Once
mean,
that's like a thing, like, oh, I get these W's, then I feel like he can get to that Sanji level, Usopp in particular.
yeah, he kind of he brags about like lies, but he has a lot to brag about. But we talked about
Yes.
Usopp. Check that video out. Check the whole playlist out. Any last thoughts about Sanji pre-time skip? Mine
I
is
like.
oh,
Go ahead. No, you
mine is
start.
Diablo Jambe as a concept. Crazy. The reveal when we first saw it, crazy. That first attack, crazy. Wasn't crazy about the line, but hey.
I like how serious all the Straw Hats, and in this in particular instance, Sanji is about his role on the ship. Like him being a chef, he really caters to each individual person on the ship. Like he turns it up and simps a little bit for the ladies, but that's just his machismo coming out as well, where it's like these are women, so I have to make sure they're extra taken care of. But at the end of the day, he knows what Chopper likes to eat and hooks him up some in particular. He knows Usopp's favorite meals, Luffy's favorite meals, Zoro's, and everybody. He might poison Zoro or do little things because they have their own little battle and shit. But I just appreciate someone like how Kevin was saying is a master of their craft and really takes it serious.
Well, I mean, all the Straw Hats are kind of no. Okay, so a few of the Straw Hats are all masters of their craft. I mean, you got Sanji, chef master,
Yeah.
Zoro trying to be the best swordsman in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Absolute
got
fight.
people who you got people who are trying to achieve
Yeah.
leading roles in each of their fields.
Like in the world.
Exactly. I mean, Nami's trying to literally go around the world, see every place there, probably be
He's
the
the
first
greatest
person to ever.
cartographer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, pre time skip. I mean, R.I.P. to my boy Sanji. This is the last time I liked him. Now he's on the FBI wanted list. So We got
Well, that's
Beat
post
up.
time skip.
They need to add a
Come back
second
next
level.
year
Yeah.
for the post time skip character breakdown. This is the Overlook.
we add a
We
seventh
talk about One Piece
player
every
impelled
damn
down
day.
strictly for Sanji.
We reserve a special place in hell for people like you. We talk about One Piece every damn day. So come back tomorrow. We're talking about the 10 Titanic captains again. Tomorrow, Jesus Burgess. That's right. The man
Oh,
with
man,
a
that's the
chip
messed up
on
one
his
with Sanji.
shoulder. Yeah, man.
Hey,
The
he was ultra strong in Dressrosa before the strong crew. God damn.
What are we gonna say about him tomorrow?
Right.
Come back tomorrow, like and
Find out.
subscribe today. Talk about your favorite. Hey, leave a comment. Let us know your favorite Sanji fight, your favorite Sanji moment pre-time skip. Let us know your overall thoughts. Check out our other playlists. Support the channel. We would appreciate it, and we will see you tomorrow.